Alright, casting the twister. Now, as you can see, the way I'm heating the mold body is without the pin, the core pin in it. And the reason for that is, you leave the core pin in, it will damage the finish on the handle. Not sure what they use on it, but yeah, the heat will get to it. So I hook it under the bracket for my thermocouple and do it like that. Not really been on there. Thing is, you know, you can't lay it on top because you burn your handles. I did that with the Svarog, not thinking. I had it sitting on the lead as it melted, and it got down and scorched my handles. So these two bolts on the lip there, hook it on there, and that works pretty good. Now, come on. Release. For those of you unfamiliar with these types of molds, this core pin locks in here, and when you're extracting it from the slug, I'll show you that. Now, I was having a bear of time with the other pin. This one's got a little bit of spray graphite on it, and I think that's the secret ingredient. This one releases a whole lot easier. So this is what I'm going to use. You won't see the struggle I went through earlier. Got a blister on my thumb from it. Now the second day I was casting these, I found a temperature that was like beautiful. And I forgot to write it down, so now I'm trying to rediscover it. 950 seems pretty good. You just got to watch to make sure the mold doesn't get too hot. The slugs will start to break, and then you know. I'm kind of thinking that maybe that spray graphite had a little something to do with that magic tongue. All right, let's see how things go here. All right, now, yeah, that's cold. For those of you unfamiliar with these, cast like that, and you move it down, and mold body acts as a grip while you wrestle this out of there. And sometimes that is pretty much the operative word. The struggle is real, folks, and all that. I like to give it a couple half, just work it around. If you have trouble, since this has got 6 fins, you know, you're working back and forth the opposite one, so give it a third of a turn and another third of a turn. That way you've worked all 6 of them, because what you're doing is compressing the lead a little bit, making room for these to come out. You know, that one didn't have good fill-in, so scrap it. It'll probably take a few to get good, because this mold hadn't been on there all that long. And the softer the lead is, the easier this is to do, so, you know, being quick about it pays off. Not giving it, you know, a few seconds to cool down or anything. There, it wasn't too bad. As you can see, the front driving band is right there. The nose is out. It has good fill. The front driving band at the separations, I'm kind of particular about that being filled in good. Get in that a little later. This is give me a little more trouble than a little earlier, and less trouble than this morning with the other pin. So it just needs to heat up. Maybe the graphite's needing a little refreshing. Hard to say. But before I started filming, these were coming out real easy. But the mold cooled down. Now the screw's starting to break good. Easy, so this will get easier. Hopefully I'll get to where some break. I can show you. There's one. Now, you can see where it broke. That base. Now, if everything is good and it hasn't moved, and the mold will close back up, which this one won't, you can just re-pour that top, let it harden, and chances are you'll be able to pull this pin right out. This one wasn't so kind. It's moved, which is not a bad thing. I've been doing is just tapping right there on the base of the wood and turn it as I go, and it will start to work down. Maybe break apart. But if that doesn't happen, what I found is it works good if there's, like, you can see there's a little cavity right there. I can get this in and right those separations, come down close to it, but not touch it, and just kind of finish those off. As you can see, it's starting to spread. Well, that's less friction for it to overcome. And just being very careful. Now, when I tap it, it'll probably come right off. See, it's warm. It's starting to come apart. Give it a little turn. And off it comes. Yeah, kind of touch that. That's warm. These, if they're like the Svarogs, that part is two pieces. This is one, that's another, and it's held together with that screw. I don't see why it would be different. So there's, pretty much covers that. And the time it takes to do that, this is probably cool enough to go back to it. If the next one does it, let it cool down for, 30 seconds, a minute, something like that. Not too much. All right, figured I'd roll this in. This one broke. Mold basically closes around it. Pour that top on. Let it cool a bit. Make sure it's hardened up a touch and bonded. Looks pretty good, but structurally challenged, I would imagine. Out it comes. Will that work every time? No. Will it work most of the time? As long as you can get the mold at least almost closed. A little gap, you might get those wings. It still works. So, yeah, I finally got an opportunity to show that. And if it works, it works. Now, if you need to adjust anything on these screws lock these screws in place. So you gotta break that, break it out loose, make your adjustments, and then bind them back together. Now they hold the handles on. You can order these without the handles. The handles are only $5. And to save $5, you have to have a pair of Lees or buy a pair of Lees, and they're triple the money. So, I mean, for $5, these are some nice handles. Unlike the Lees, I haven't had any problem with these, loosening up and sliding. The Svarogs don't either. The Lees I end up drilling and pinning. These seem to be good. They're nice and beefy. Yeah, $5. Where are you gonna go? And it comes already assembled, so you don't have to mess with that either. Now, on this, the only thing I've had to lube is the guide pins. Elvis Sandwich told us 2-cycle, full synthetic, Wally World, like, I don't know, $1.25 for this bottle. Right around $1.25. So that'll last a good long time. What I found from doing Lee molds, towards the handle, it doesn't really open up a whole lot. What I do is I take a Q-tip and I gently and slowly bend it so I don't just break it, and that will fit in that little gap without, getting it all over everything. Just, little drop and good to go. So when these start sticking when you're trying to open them, that's really what's going on. Just lube those guide pins, you'll be good to go. Now, these center pins. This Varog has 4 of those segments, and it's not a whole lot different getting it to pull out. Maybe a little easier. So, I don't think it makes a huge difference. But that one from the factory, there were burrs on the edges of these fins, and the tip of that pin was a little mushroomed. So what I did was I took a jeweler's file, just lightly dressed them, took those burrs off, around, took that mushroom off, and it was good to go. But it's aluminum, so just, lightly, gingerly. Because those burrs, to get those burrs to pull out, it has to move lead out of the way. So you got to work it even more, and it's trying to cut through it. So, not so easy. It's just that much harder. Like with every mold, everyone's different, so you have to figure out what works for yours. A little spray lube, whether it's like this or like the CRC stuff, whatever. Just make sure it's good for some temperature. I forget what these are good for. It says on here somewhere, pretty hot, but it doesn't say, during 1,000 degrees or anything. I have to put it in there instead of burning time. Okay, now the ones I sent, towel flatter mouths. I used number 4 by 1/2-inch wood screws, which is what people tend to use in these. And some of them separated, which we've all had that happen with them. I did a little measuring. I measured that pin. This pin, which the only function of that pin is to make this screw hole. That pin broke off of my Svarog, my Zveroboy mold pin. I'm waiting for a replacement. So, yeah. I measured that, and it's the size of a number 6 wood screw. So I ordered some number 6 by 5/8 inch from Home Depot. I ordered 1,000 of them. Now, if I wanted to go to 3/4 inch, it more than doubles the price. So yeah, and the longer the screw, the more chance of puncturing the bottom of the wad, which pressure is going to release potentially, most likely, and affect performance right drastically. So and if you look on Sparg and AS's sites, they show it's a green wad paired with them. It's a Gualandi BRP 20 millimeters long. We're familiar with the Gualandi BRP 18 millimeters long. This is the only one we get in the U.S. And we know it as the BPI original brush wad. So, the longer the screw, the more chance you're going to puncture that bottom. And if you're using an FS12, yeah, even more of a chance. Of course, at FS12, you can make these nice little shorties. But that's a whole another thing. But yeah, I sent Tough Leather Moss these. They're sold as Fiocchis. These are the 27s. They also have a 24. These are 1 ounce shot cup. The 24s are ounce and an eighth. I trimmed it. Screwed it together. These numbers are raised, so I sanded it smooth before I put it together because they had tendency, it could rock. So I did that too. Now these are sold on Graphs and Powder Valley. Like I said, this Fiocchi, and they're like $40 for 2,000 of them. So they're only a couple cents a piece. Now, a Lee 7/8 ounce drive key slug fits in here perfectly. I mean, flush. It's the same height. So that's what I originally was using these for. But with my Zero Boys, I was using these. Trim this top edge. They don't fit right in there. So, yeah. You got to do that to them. And, had some separation and stuff. But I was thinking, well, I got a bunch of these, and they might just shoot a little softer. So, yeah. And my thinking was send all the components I plan to try to Tough Leather Moss and see if they work out. And I am happy to say these worked out. So, yay. I'm very happy. Gave him something to try, and it gave me a little feedback on, what I was planning to try, and some verification. I also sent him 2 3/4 inch factory primed virgin Rio hulls. The thing about Rio hulls is in that base wad, there's a little wall, and you have to make sure you've got enough powder, either big enough of a charge or flaky enough powder so that you don't crush your gas seal on it and deform it, which a lot of people have had to happen. But I got a screaming deal on these several years back and stocked up on them. I paid $87 shipped for 2,000 of them. So, yeah, like 4.5 cents a pop. So, yeah, probably about a penny for the hull after paying for the primer. So, these are going to be cost-effective slugs. A couple cents for wad, 4.5 cents for primed hull. The powder is going to be expensive stuff because range scrap, powder coating's cheap. So, probably a penny for the screw. Oh. So yeah, I wanted people to know what they're getting into with these. To get it figured out, you're gonna wrestle with it. You're gonna fight it. You know, you're gonna be John Ward. You know, I'm gonna fight it. And but yeah, start hot, and if you want to work down in temp till you find where it's not working for you, that's probably the best way to do it. Or else you're gonna be sore. You're gonna have blisters. Uh, Refining those temps eluded me yesterday and this morning. So, and I didn't think to change out to the graphited core pen, and I should have because that made a night and day difference. Stuff isn't expensive, so it's well worth it. And like on these, like bullets, doing that to a cavity of a mold, people worry about changing the weight. With these, it's not going to make enough of a difference to even notice. So yeah, just want to get people prepared because people are interested in this mold, and I was flabbergasted with that gel shot, and I think that's what sold most people. Wow. Oh, it was impressive to say the least. All right, well, oh, yeah, I forgot. I think I forgot. If I didn't forget, well, I'm being redundant here. When you're inspecting these, check these. Make sure they're filled out good. When they're filling out good, you're getting where you need to be. And right at the corners of these separations, check for cracks. Because from time to time, because working that pin, getting it out, causing a little stress, from time to time you find one that has a crack in that corner. And it's, a potential point of failure. So, yeah, best to scrap those. You don't find a lot of them, but you find some. So, just want people to be aware of it. All right, well, I think I've pretty much covered things. So before I go rambling off down the weeds somewhere, I'll let you go with that. Have a good one. God bless. See ya. Oh, also, when you're inspecting these, inspect right down here. See, sometimes you'll get a crack. The mold's hot. You're working that core pin out. Sometimes it'll crack there. There's, stress right here. Not just, here. Also, I noticed when working the pin out, the front driving band starts to work out of the mold. It's the slug is stretching, so yeah, you're getting too hot at that point, and a pour or two later, they're gonna break. Plus, they're gonna be, long, weakened. So, just a couple more things to be aware of. Yeah, not the easiest molds to work with, but the results are worth it. These are awesome slugs. All right, well, let me roll this in.